I have not made one of these videos in a little minute because I've been focusing more on making videos about mental health. So I figured it's time to catch you up to speed on what I have been doing. And as always, I like to do these in two parts, input and output. We'll start with the exciting stuff. Output. I'll divide this section into non-rapper related projects and rapper related projects. So let's start with rapper related projects. I got to interview Spillage Village, which was really cool because I love their music so much. But there was one little problem. During the interview, all these interviews are on Zoom now, the sun started setting and the cameras pretty much went pitch black by the end. And this was an issue because that's not particularly fun to watch. So I decided that instead of showing a pitch black interview, me and my team would animate the whole thing. So that's what we did. Me and Aaron, that's my business partner, we animated the whole interview. And it kind of started opening up the doors both professionally and creatively for new projects and new avenues to explore. So that was really cool. I guess the lesson that I'd take away from that project is when life gives you lemons, make lemonade. No, the actual lesson is things that look like weaknesses from the outside can actually be a strength on closer examination. And remember that because that will come up later. The second rapper related project is I've been working with the kid LAROI, which once again I am super excited about because I love his music. And the cool thing was that the execution of this came off the back of fixing the mistake of the Spillage Village piece. So once we had animated the interview, we were like, damn, we could animate a whole story if we wanted to. What if we just got a really cool story out of the kid LAROI and animated the whole thing? So that's what we did. The cool part about this animation was I only had a few days to do it. So the lesson that I not so much learnt but had reinforced to me is the work will always fit to the time allotted to it. So if I gave myself a month to do it, I'd take a month. If I gave myself 3 days to do it, I could do it in 3 days. And I know we all know that one, but it was nice for me to be reminded that I can always work a little smarter. And the third rapper related project, man, was such a failure. It started out so promising. I got this phone call and damn, it was an exciting phone call. Holy smokes, man.
Are you joking?
No, that's what he said.
I got asked to draw the album cover for Future and Lil Uzi Vert. Dude, I was so freaking excited. I did this pretty much the day I got the brief. I just went home, drew it all to the brief, and the record label loved it. I was like, yes, oh my God. And I had to keep it obviously a secret until their album came out and it had different artwork. Turns out at the last minute they went with another direction. This stung momentarily.
And now.
I think at this point in my life, I'm used to not counting my chickens before they hatch, but because that job was just so big, I was so excited that I didn't really turn that off. But the lesson from that one is the lesson that we always learn, which is be grateful for what you have, not for what you could have. You know, don't fall in love with potential, just fall in love with what you got. The other projects that I've been working on include working with Studio A. So Studio A is a company that works with working artists with disabilities. They give them a space to make their art and the resources to sell it and get it out into the world. It's a great company, and I was lucky enough for them to offer me the chance to sit down with one of their artists, a guy called Sindel, who is responsible for these books: Werewolf in Chinatown, Unearthly, and Mutation Warriors. It's pretty cool. They're like these big graphic novels that he literally draws without pencil, so like no mistakes from the get. This is basically a carbon copy of his notebook. It was a really cool day. I got to go out to Studio A and meet all the people and sit down with Greg, and it was also really eye-opening the fact that I got to see how somebody on the autistic spectrum navigates the art world. Here's a few clips from that.
Hello, I'm Sindel. I write and draw superheroes and scary monsters. I'm going to draw a picture of Campbell Walker, otherwise known as Truthless, a picture of his own. I trust you'd like me to do a portrait of you as a goodie or a baddie in this picture.
I want to pick goodie or baddie. I might pick baddie. I might be a supervillain. Lex Luthor 2.0. That is really cool.
Thank you. I had to think of a villain name for you, matey. Mr. Frown.
Mr. Frown. I'll take that, happiness. Greg is prolific, Greg doesn't make mistakes, Greg pumps out books like it's nobody's business. And Greg himself says that this is part and parcel due to his autism. So it's beautiful to see somebody take something which might look like a disadvantage from the outside and just turn it into a massive strength. All right, should I draw you as a superhero as well?
And when you do my character name, I know what it is.
Yeah?
Emperor Greg. It's very clever, matey.
Between seeing Greg and the wider team at Studio A, it is nothing shy of inspiring. Other projects that I've been working on, the podcast God is Dead. No, it's not an anti-religious podcast. What this podcast is about is content that makes you say God is dead, that makes you feel abandoned on this earth. Anyway, so we've been doing that weekly, and the reason that I bring that up is because of something that I'm really, really proud of. Bryce, my goddamn co-host. He had some huge news this month, and that is, alongside his co-host Ebony, he's the new breakfast host on Triple J. So I just want to say a little shout out to Bryce. I guess the lesson from making a weekly podcast is just consistency. It's just showing up and having somebody that you've got to be accountable to, especially when that someone is blowing up, baby. Love you, Brycey. The third of these smaller projects is the Heaven and Heck shirt, which I am so freaking proud of. We put these up online and they sold out in like a day, which I was stoked on. For me, this feels like the future, and it feels like everything's really quite exciting. Now, while I love the shirt so much, I was nervous when we put it online that it wouldn't sell, which is always a fear. I think anybody who makes stuff probably knows that anxiety. But then it did sell, and that was really nice because I think this shirt for me was me scratching my own itch when it comes to clothes. I really like loud clashing clothes a lot, and whilst not everybody does, it was nice to see that people really got around it. When are they restocking, Sugar? Restocked
Next week.
Oh.
Next week.
Sick. Ha. Mad. Now the final project that has been coming out of my head is the big project, and that is Hump Wallace.
I'm just gonna say it. Why are you two in my room?
I think the last time I made a video like this, I was saying that we were recording vocals for it. I think that we had just recorded Dante as Hump.
You know, I'm getting into knitting. Could you knit me a skateboard?
Can no one hear me?
We got Briggs in to play the principal.
Ring-a-ding-dong on the school bell.
We got Ruby Fields in to play this teacher.
Always watching. Thanks, Aunt Wallace, for that 5 minutes I'm never gonna get back. Eugene, do you want to steal some time from me as well?
Another character we got in there was Nat, like Natswhatireckon Nat.
I expected this from the new kids, but you, Becky, well, I'm just glad you had nothing to do with it, sweetheart.
Now that we've got all the vocals done for the pilot, we have started animating. A process which is made so much easier thanks to this guy.
Hey, I'm Chris OVEMERY. I live in Gothenburg, Sweden, and by the fall of 2016 I left my job to fulfill my dream of working as a full-time freelance designer specialized in illustration and animation.
Chris is an incredible animator from Sweden. He's helping us with Hump Wallace, and he has a criminally underrated YouTube channel. So if you're into animation, I thoroughly recommend checking him out. And I guess the main takeaway here, or the main lesson if I had to apply one, would be the main thing is to keep the main thing the main thing. I read that in a book. It's a quote from someone whose name I've forgotten, but I'll flash it up right now. And what I take from that quote is, it's so easy when you're working on something big to get distracted by all the small stuff, particularly small paid work. I think when you've got like a big unpaid creative project that you're trying to get through. So like if you're a musician, you're working on the big album and then someone says, yo, can you compose this thing for an ad? And you're like, woohoo, money, 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 baby. And the album doesn't get done for like another 3 years. So it has been quite nice to keep the main thing as the main thing. Woo, yeah. Alrighty, that's output. Let's do input now. If you've watched one of these videos before, you know this is the section where I talk about all the stuff that's been going into my head, but I think the best place to start is probably what's not been going into my head, and that is social friggin' media. Oh my god, did you guys know it's bad for you? I know, the most lukewarm take of 2020 goes to me. Social media is bad. Instead of the infinite scroll, I have opted for the infinite void this month. Most of the stuff that I've been putting in my head has been quite heavy and emotional, which I think is probably linked to the fact that I turned 30 this month, 30 in November, and it came along with all these weird thoughts about how time is only ticking one way, and my response to that was to consume a lot of stuff that made me cry. The main one is a book, and this is probably the best book that I've ever read, Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. It's about Viktor Frankl's time spent in concentration camps as a Jew in Nazi Germany, and oh my god, it is heartbreaking, eye-opening, heartwarming at the same time, and it just gives a whole nother side to what is one of the worst atrocities ever committed by humans. And we are all luckier for him writing that book. It's just fantastic. I know it's on a lot of people's lists as one of the best books ever written. So if you don't read many books, I thoroughly recommend that one. The other thing that has made me cry weirdly, and I don't understand why, was this Netflix documentary series called We Are the Champions. It's about these really, really weird niche sports like competitive chili eating, fantasy hairstyling, and people chasing cheese down a hill. And it's not meant to make you cry, but for me, that was my reaction. And I think the reason that I had that reaction is probably because I've been filling my head with too much drama about the world, too much crazy stuff, and it's just a nice reminder that There's really beautiful stuff going on every damn day. It's a conclusion that was much more beautifully articulated by Cool Man Coffee Dan in this animation.
You have to know how much good there is out there. It far outweighs the bad. For every bad person doing a bad thing, there's a million smiling babies. And good smells from bakeries. And middle schoolers getting their first kiss. There's the smell of fireplaces in the brisk winter air and the taste of watermelon in the summertime. There's music and nights out with friends and that tingly feeling you get when your crush says your name. There's so much good in this world. Sometimes we need to be reminded of that.
I think the main takeaway is that part of me wonders if life has become more difficult to navigate now that we've been exposed to so many potential paths that we can all take in life. You know, there's the whole paradox of choice thing that I'm sure a lot of us have heard. The more choices you have, the more paralyzed you get in terms of trying to take one. And I think I've been really trying to focus on having not that much come in and not much come out. So, I don't know, I guess go against the grain in a world that is constantly trying to take your attention for a ride and just only create just a few small beautiful things. If anyone else has got some recommendations on what they've been putting in or some stuff that they've been making that they want to tell the world about, like, chuck them in the comments, man. I would love to read it. Straight up. Anyway, that's it from me. Hope you have a goddamn gorgeous day. Catch ya.